This is just some fun shit that I wrote in 10 minutes. Got the bars, no question. Straight Chef Curry when I cook, no stuffing. To me, if you smart, don't worry, don't stress it. Pigeonhole rappers never seem to get the message that your boy been carrying. I'm a B.A., no barium. Tack it so fast, I kill him after I bury him. I'm living like Larry.
Hudson, are you ready to go? Hudson, Hudson, are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? So the last couple of nights have been very adventurous, to say the least, because we've been up till about 2 or 3 a.m. just hustling and grinding. And the reality of things, sometimes that's what you have to do to get client work done. You know, it's not the most favorable thing that I like to do, especially since I work from home for the most part. So having to put in these late nights is something that I try to avoid, simply because, well, I try to get enough rest as much as possible, and I try to spend time with family also. But sometimes you have to put in that extra time to get that work done, and that's really where the determining factor is. And snooze, you lose. You know, some people try to stick to their 9 to 5, and in entrepreneurship, there's no such thing. There's no 9 to 5. You know, sometimes you're working around the clock to get stuff done. So that really kind of pushes me behind a little bit on the following days, because I typically don't get my day started until sometimes around 10:30 a.m. because by the time I drop my son off at daycare, it takes, you know, it's around that time. So my day gets a late start, and that really pushes things back more for me. So, but last couple of days have been late nights. Fortunately, I've been knocking out some stuff off the list. It's a pretty busy month, so I'm fortunate in that regard. But just wanted to share that with you guys because as a new dad, as first-time parents, me and my wife, that's something that we're still trying to learn the ropes on, and trying to strike that counterbalance between my work schedule. Well, I work all the time, but to where I'm allowing enough time for family, and also enough time to strategize, implement, and execute on client work.
No stuffing. To me, if you smart, don't worry, don't stress it. Pigeonhole rappers never seem to get the message that your boy been carrying. I'm a B.A., no barium. Tack it so fast, I kill him after.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. It's a little faded, but I think it should be okay. Are you close enough to the mic, or you got earbuds on?
Is this any better?
Yes, that's a lot better.
Okay, I'll just get closer to the mic.
Okay, awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much for taking the time to hop on and do this guest interview. I know you're probably crazy busy and putting out fires and whatnot. So, I'll go ahead.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for being flexible.
Absolutely. Just had a very productive conversation with Koka Sexton of formerly of LinkedIn and now at Hootsuite, to talk about social media selling for my podcast, The Human Business Narrative. That episode is going to be up next week on iTunes. I really enjoyed that conversation. Koka is someone that I've been following for a couple of years, and finally got a chance to chat with him. Speaking of the Human Business Narrative podcast, that will actually be making its way to my YouTube channel as a separate playlist very soon. So you'll have the opportunity to listen to the podcast also on YouTube. And now I'm off to run to handle a couple more errands.
Fast, I kill him after I bury him. I'm living like Larry. Really, it's.
If you haven't realized this yet, I spent a valiant amount of time in my car commuting whether it's to errands or clients or networking event. That's just part of the nature of the business that I'm in. In case you're wondering, there's no baby in the back. My son's daycare was actually all booked up and overflowing with baby seats. So the last thing I wanted to do is leave that thing in a sea of other baby seats. So one of the things that I want to talk about in this episode was snooze, you lose. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners have plenty of opportunities that are presented to them on a daily basis. But the real challenge is being able to harness and leverage those opportunities. I think you can create opportunity fairly easy. You can create interest, you can generate buzz, but figuring out how you harness those opportunities is really where the challenge resides. And one of the things that I've become fairly good at is being able to take those opportunities and harness them and turn them into something monetary. Typically, I focus on, so this guy just went on a red light. Typically, I focus on forging new relationships or leveraging existing relationships. That is really the mantra of my business methodology. And I believe that if you do that and you focus on providing people value in a sense, the way I'm giving you value right now by you watching this video, is that you are forging new alliances and you're creating new opportunities that you can harness. So you snooze, you lose. If you don't take the chance of harnessing those opportunities, then someone else will. And that is another determining factor, another distinguishment in business that separates the successful individuals, the entrepreneurs, business owners, from others who are unwilling to harness those opportunities. So I think it's important to understand that as a takeaway from this episode of what it means if you snooze, that you lose out on those opportunities. And time is of an essence also. That's another thing that I wanted to mention. This is precisely why response is one of my biggest pet peeves, because I feel like response is better than perfection. So response in the sense of how quickly you respond to an email, a phone call, a tweet, a Facebook status update, a snap, an Instagram story, simply because consumers are all about response nowadays. Our attention span as human beings is shrinking by the day, which equates to the fact that our patience is getting slimmer and slimmer. So waiting a day to respond to an email is just insufficient. And these are things that, I wanted to point out, because especially when it comes to business, if you snooze, you lose. And sometimes it might be a matter of minutes, sometimes it might be a matter of hours, but nonetheless, you have to have a good sense of response.
When he's spitting rap words, so Atlas would assault you if you get it backwards. Wait, Atlas, that's salty if you flip it backwards. No wonder these salty rappers going ghost Casper, and I don't give a fuck.